Hello, hello, hello! Hey, you're now watching Creativity in Focus, a live video podcast where every week we highlight an artist and its art. And I have a special guest today with me here, but before we get started, a few housekeeping items. One of the most important things for us that you can do for us is really share this video. This is going to be content only, nobody's going to sell anything, so you're safe to share anywhere, in any social media platform, in any group, and this makes a huge difference for us because, of course, we get the word out about what we are doing. And the second most important thing that you can do is either leave a comment or even a question to our artist at any point, but at the beginning of the video, even better, because this also tells the social media engines to show or not to show the video. When you give a like, a heart, put an emoji, all those things count a lot to us. So we really appreciate if you can take a second and do that. Creativity in Focus is a podcast about artists, and every week we bring a different artist, and some days we talk a little bit about the business of art. You can watch any of our episodes wherever you're watching right now. We keep all the other episodes available to you, and we have amazing artists that you're going to spend hours watching because they're super fun interviews. Now, if you have a question to the instructor, use the chat box or the comments to do that. Depending on where you're watching, either the comments are below the video or the chat box beside the video. Use that so I can get here on my tablet and ask the artist. And don't forget that the best experience happens at creativityinfocus.com. There's also where it's easier for you to find all the past episodes, okay? Awesome. So those were my announcements. Today, I have a very special and prolific artist, Rosalind Soules. Welcome, Rosalind.
Hi, thanks for having me here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. So we can see a lot of pieces on the table, but my first question to you is, how long ago have you started creating?
Let's see, I was born in I always have been creative all my whole life.
Oh, really?
And I'm 84 now. So.
You're 84. And I know you have a big family, right?
I do have a big family.
How many kids?
7 children, 30 grandchildren, and 30 great-grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild being born next month.
Wow, that's awesome.
I do have a big family.
So you were always a very busy woman then?
Yes.
Yes, always. But that never kept you from...
Nope, I always drew pictures and did posters and things all my life.
So we are going to see several things that you make. Is there one type that you're most passionate about?
Well, my painting is probably my biggest thing, but I make quilts for all my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I make little wall hangings, paper-pieced wall hangings and others. These are both paper-pieced. And miniature paintings and large paintings, and I have a large doll collection that I didn't even bring any of that, but I have some antique dolls from the 30s, like 1930 porcelain dolls from Germany that I inherited, and I've collected other neat dolls. I have them all over my apartment. It really says my name.
So of course you have a daughter that is a sculptor, and she makes Do you have any of her dolls?
Well, I have some little ones that she made that are not her porcelain sculptures. Are you going to tell her name?
I can, but you can too.
Okay, my daughter is Karen Baker, and she's better known than I am, and she's a very prolific artist also, and she's very talented, I'll have to say.
She is very talented. Yeah. Now we are going to show some pictures of your paintings, okay? Yep. And when we show them, I want you to tell a little bit about those paintings. The ones that you have here, while we get ready for that, the ones that we have here, are they oil paintings?
They're all different. This one is acrylic. This one is acrylic. I like to paint in acrylic.
Okay.
All of those are acrylic. I like to paint in acrylic. I do a lot of painting in acrylic paintings, and I do a lot in oil too.
Okay, so we are going to show the first picture. You can look at
that is an acrylic painting, and it's a painting done of the hidden cave in Glacier National Park, and it's done from a photograph that I saw, and it's about 8 by 10, I think.
8 by 10?
2 of them. You see them both. And I like that a lot.
That's very cool. Let's see another one.
This is a collage of watercolor and torn pieces of rice paper, and I just like that. It hangs over my bed.
So you do watercolor as well?
I do, and that's quite a large painting.
Yeah, yeah.
Quite a large painting.
How long ago have you painted that?
Oh, a few years ago. And this is a recent painting that's also from Glacier Park, and it's 16 by 20, and it's oil over acrylic. You can paint acrylic underpainting and finish it in oil, but you can't do the other way around.
Yeah, and what do you get by doing that? What's the special thing?
Well, acrylic dries really fast, so you can get your background in and the darks and lights and your pattern established, and then finish it in oil. People like oil paintings. I like them both. So
you like them both. We have here Katrine, and she's saying, "Hi there. It was a nice surprise to find this right now." And Karen Baker is saying, "Hi, Mama."
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen. Now, you've been painting. Do you paint over canvas, or is that?
These are all painted on canvas.
On canvas.
Little canvases, wrapped canvas, so they don't have to be framed. They
have that one to me, so we can show.
And that's painted out of my bedroom window where I live in my my apartment, and it's looking at the Ochre Mountains. And I just like the way I see the sun going down over those hills, and I just think
the
that's
gorgeous Utah sky.
Yes,
right?
I can see the sky.
And why do you like miniature paintings?
Well, they're just fun to do. I can do them quickly, and I can sell them for a little less, and they're just fun. I like all sizes of paintings.
Can you give us an idea of prices on
I would probably charge about $30 for these, and 10 or 15 for the tiny ones.
We were talking before we went live that you were looking at the interview of another artist and saying the fact that sometimes it's a good idea to make
small ones so that people can afford it. These are all originals and not copied, and affordable for a little gift. And they sit on cute little easels, and you can.
So how often do you paint?
Oh, I paint every week.
Every week something?
I try to mix it up with my sewing and so on, but yeah, I painted this morning. I finished a painting this morning.
Oh, look how cool. I want to show one of your cards. You guys can see all the cards here, but this one is so pretty. Look at this. So tell me a little bit about the process of your cards.
Well, I belonged to a group in Sandy when I lived in Draper, a watercolor club there at the senior center. And I painted one of those every time I went. And it was just fun.
You're probably familiar with Colleen Reynolds?
No, I don't know that.
She used to run one of the watercolor clubs here in town.
I'd like to find more clubs close to me in Magna, where I live now.
Oh,
but, yes. I haven't found any outlet there, but.
And so these are all originals as well, the cards?
Yes, I looked online at different pictures of butterflies and then copied them there.
Awesome, they are awesome. Katrine is saying, Glacier Park sounds lovely. Where on this planet is it? It's in Montana, correct?
Montana, near Columbia Falls.
Yes. I was there last year, actually.
It's beautiful.
Very pretty,
and it's closed already this year. You can't drive through.
Yeah, there's snow everywhere. Same thing with Yellowstone. You should go, Katrine. It's really cool, but don't forget to visit Yellowstone, too. It's my favorite.
I like Yellowstone also.
Karen Baker, I'm in the ER again. Haha, don't let me distract you from your interview.
What's wrong?
Karen, now you have to tell us what happened. Now you're going to leave everybody saying, what happened with her? Now, I know Karen's also likes to sew a lot, right?
She's a very good seamstress.
Did you start with quilts or garments?
I started with making my children's clothes.
Yeah, well, it's 7 of them.
Yeah, I did a lot of sewing when my children were young. And I sewed for myself a lot when I was younger and slimmer. And then when I started getting this little tummy that people get when they're
don't tell me about it. That's why we have a table.
Well, then I started doing quilts and wall hangings. And I like the little wall hangings. They're a lot of fun.
They're a lot of fun to make.
I have a huge assortment of materials at home. I have drawers with green and yellow and red.
Do you have a specific place in your home where you create?
Yes, I have a 3-bedroom apartment, and I have 1 bedroom is filled with sewing, and the other is with art.
Oh,
and
boy.
Then my doll collection is around the walls of all 3 rooms.
Oh, that's fun. Well, somebody's saying that she cut her hand 3 stitches. It's all good. Probably she was sculpting.
Were you sculpting? Tell us more detail. Come on. I'm your mom, you know.
Yeah. Now she's worried. Now she wants to leave the interview. So have you quilted also big pieces? Or more?
Yes, I have several large quilts that I quilted when I lived in Washington. I just moved to Utah 3.5 years ago.
Oh, really?
And I quilted these quilts, but I never finished them. I never put the backing on and so on. And then I have a friend in Draper that quilts. And she puts a fabulous minky on the back and machine quilts them, so I've had them all finished now.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
Where in Washington were you living?
I lived near Yakima, Washington, in Ellensburg, which is right in the center of Washington, where Central Washington University is.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, I bet Karen's happy that you're here closer to her now.
I'm happy that I'm closer to Karen anyway.
And before, Rosalind, did you used to sell your pieces? Or
I have sold a lot of paintings. When I lived in California, I belonged to several art associations in the southern part of California, and I won many ribbons and awards for my art. Artist of the Year several times. When I moved to Washington, I won several awards at the county fair, or the county fair in Yakima, Ellensburg, and sold some there. And I haven't promoted myself as much as I'd like to, but I'm going to start doing that.
Yes.
And I need to tell you when I started painting. Actually, I drew all my life, but when Karen was 16 years old. I saw
long time ago. I can still
remember.
A
long time ago. Way back when Karen was 16. I noticed that she had a great deal of talent. And I heard of an art teacher near us that was teaching young people. Oh, cool. And I took her, and she started taking oil painting lessons. And when I went there and saw older people taking it, ladies, I said, I think I want to do this. So I started taking lessons from Anne-Marie Sabotis, who was fairly well known in that community. And I painted with her. And Karen painted too.
Oh, nice.
And then I expanded, and actually the man that was my French teacher in high school, after he retired, and I found out that he was a watercolor artist. Oh. And so I took classes with him. That was my first taste of watercolor, and that was really fun for me, and I was quite successful with watercolor. And then I heard of a teacher that taught acrylic painting. And that was real interesting. I like everything, you know. I can't stay with this one thing. Yeah. So I took a class from her, and then she moved to Washington. And later, when I lived in Washington many years later, I saw her again, and that was fun. So I learned acrylic painting, and I also found a lady that taught pastels. We'll see a pastel that I'd done. And so I've done paintings in pastel, mostly animals like cats. Okay. And I sold a lot of paintings of cats actually in a cafe in Southern California.
They allow you to put your pictures
there? Yes, they allowed me to put paintings there, and I sold a lot of pastel cats. I haven't done much pastel lately, but I like that too.
Let's see those pastels. I want to see. Why not lately?
Well, lately, okay, let me go back a little bit. In California, I also studied with Hal Reed, who's well known in Who's Who in American Art. He passed away in 2003, but I studied with him for 3 years. Oh, fantastic. And he had Art Institute in Los Angeles or Pasadena or somewhere there, but he came down to our area, and several of us took classes from him, and I learned art and shading and composition and color, all kind of things from him. And he was a really well-known artist. And then one of his proteges was, I can't think of her name right now. it's almost there.
Almost there.
Pike, Joyce Pike. She was so wonderful at painting flowers and so on. She's also known in who's who in American art. And I studied with her quite a bit too.
Wow,
so I had
nice.
some really good instructors. And then after I moved to to Utah, there is a really good artist named Richard Horrocks, who's well known in Utah in the art world, and he teaches in oil. So I went back to oil painting because he didn't like it when I used my acrylics.
Oh, really?
But I still fooled him and did some acrylic undercoating and then finished it in oil. And he lives he teaches in Sandy. So it's a little far for me to go now, and so I haven't been going, but he was a great influence on me.
That's so cool. That's very cool. Do we have some of those pictures to show? Lane Tucker is saying hello, and Regina Moore, I love the fun personalities when y'all do these interviews. Thank you. She's really fun.
This painting that we're showing right now is one that I started very basically in acrylic and then finished it in oil, and I did this under the tutelage of Richard Horrocks. And it's quite a large painting, 2 feet by 3 feet, I think, or something.
Yeah,
it's really on my living room wall, and I quite like the way it came out. I love the rocks in the front. They read real well as rocks, and I felt quite successful painting this painting.
Yeah, it is very, very
I love
pretty.
it.
Let's see another one.
That is another one under the tutelage of Richard Horrocks, and it's when he gave me this, he gave us little pictures of famous paintings and as a challenge to paint. So they're not original, but I did them by myself. But this one he gave to me, and I said, I can't paint cows. And he said, well, learn then. So you know what I did? I went home and I looked at YouTube how to paint a cow, and I practiced a few days drawing them, and I painted cows pretty successfully. I like that picture very much.
How long ago was that?
Last year.
Last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Let's see
not
another
so long.
I want to see if we get one of the pastels.
No, this is an acrylic.
That's acrylic.
The hills, I love this painting because it's all done in acrylic, and it's from my hometown in Ellensburg, Washington. And I love the way the light kind of shines on it bad when I took the picture, but I love the way the hills showed the hills and valleys. I liked it a lot. I like it a lot.
That's very cool. And one more. Let's see what we have.
There'll be more. Oops, this is another acrylic. This is down by the University of what did I say? The university in Ellensburg.
Okay.
Central Washington University, there you go. And the colors were so vibrant on that October day, and I just thought the flag there was just beautiful, and so that's why I painted that one.
Very cool, very, very cool. Now I want to show one more thing that you make, because I think that's super cool.
This is fun.
So these ornaments that you guys see here, I'm going to show you a couple of them so you can see. So this is one. There are several here. This is kind of Tree of Life.
Yeah, these are made with my Husqvarna Viking sewing machine that does machine embroidery, and they're done on a stabilizer that's water soluble. So after you sew, let it sew out the design, then you put it under hot water, and the stabilizer leaves, and you've got this nice.
Look at this.
And they're stiff from the stabilizer.
So really, you embroider with the machine over the stabilizer alone.
Yes, yes. And I'm going to have them on my Etsy store as soon as I get that set up real soon, like next week.
Did you hear that, Karen?
Etsy store, Karen.
She's the one. Etsy store, Karen.
She's probably getting stitched.
I can't, Mom. I don't have one. My hands having some stitches. But we were talking before about these ornaments, for example, because they are gorgeous, and she has very. Let me see. The girls are not there. This one, exactly.
These are a boy and girl, little.
Look how cool.
I can make these ornaments in.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
We wish you and a Happy New Year. and I can make them any colors. I can make them red or white.
How long does it take you to make that?
Each one It's a good 45 minutes or more when these are sewing out. And I have to get the machine set up and all that. I'm going to leave them here.
I think this is a great idea. For example, we were talking about this before. It would be very easy to sell these, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
you put in the machine, you make several during one day. And do you have any idea how much you would sell this
I would sell them I will sell them for $5 each, or maybe
more. Rosalind.
$5 to $7 each.
7 to 10.
They're like crocheted ornaments.
Yes, but
only they're machine made.
Yes.
And they last forever.
They last forever.
And they look really cute on a tree, as you can see.
Could you customize something with that
machine?
No, just
I don't have that capability. I don't have that on my machine. Sorry.
Here we have Regina saying beautiful, Terry beautiful, Elaine Tucker is saying wow. Where do you find your inspiration? Guest 582 is asking.
Oh my goodness, I find inspiration everywhere, every day of my life when I drive, the clouds, the trees, other people, my daughter, everything gives me inspiration. I love our beautiful earth.
Yes. The beautiful planet we live in, and the beautiful Utah, because
it's always beautiful to me.
Sky.
I love clouds.
This woman has so much energy, you have no clue. So you love to play ping pong, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So our
family is very competitive.
Yes, I saw that. But I saw her playing not only with Karen but with Nashla, and it's unbelievable how many times the ball fell and you bent over to grab that. And I was thinking, my back is already hurting just to look at you.
I've been very blessed with good health.
Yes.
And flexibility and so on. I do have my limits now. I can't play tennis anymore.
Oh.
Can't run fast enough.
Okay.
But I love tennis. I played a lot of tennis too. Yeah.
How did you do all these things and 7 kids? I mean,
I played tennis. I played tennis a lot.
A lot.
For a few years in California. And I was on a league, and we had different levels, like the A level was the best, B, C. I started out on the D level because I'd never played tennis before. And our team, as a team, rose to the C level, so I was really proud of that.
That's so cool.
And I was pretty competitive.
Where were you born?
I was born in Manhattan Beach, California.
In California.
And at that time, when you could go down to the beach and pick up shells and see the tide pools and so on. And I still love the ocean. I can body surf.
Oh, you can?
I can body surf.
See, it's amazing.
And on my 80th birthday, I went hang gliding.
Oh, really?
And last year, I went zip lining in Hawaii.
Wow.
So I like fun
When's
things.
Your birthday?
But August the 30th.
You are Virgo.
Right.
Ooh.
But I will never jump out of an airplane. Ever, ever, ever.
No?
No.
So what's the plan for next year then?
I don't have any. Just maybe sell some of my art. I'm going to get my Etsy store going, and I'm going to paint and paint and paint. That's always fun for me.
Marcy's saying those ornaments are beautiful. Elaine, great ornaments. Katrina is saying incredible. Regina is saying, Shahar, you make me smile. Thank you. You make me smile when things are great. Terry, what is the smallest scale you have ever painted?
Well, this one's pretty small. The frame makes it look a little larger, and I've got some smaller too.
See the right direction for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've painted some really tiny little ones, smaller than that.
Very pretty.
I've painted some that could go in a dollhouse. I like to paint small too.
That's cool. I once met many years ago. My father, actually, he used to have a TV show about art. He was an oil painter himself. And there was this guy that he painted, I believe was, I don't know if it was paper or tiles, but they were 1 inch by 1 inch. Ooh. And he could do a whole landscape in that thing. He would paint with, of course, magnifying glasses, and I think the top of the pin that you use for sewing, that's what he used as a brush. It was.
I don't do that tiny of paintings.
No, it's. I would need a huge magnifier. Beverly is asking. I hear you're a ping pong champ.
Well, Karen and I are pretty competitive, but I can beat her sometimes.
Karen is saying I still beat her.
I still beat her, but she beats me too. We're pretty competitive with it.
That's very cool. So before, I know you're about to set up an online shop for you. You sold, for example, putting your paintings in cafes and restaurants, right?
I did.
What other ways?
Just people asking me to paint a painting. The one that we saw earlier, that was the floral one with the collage in it. The
watercolor?
I've done several of those on commission, and people have texted me from California, I still have that painting above my piano.
Oh, how cool.
And in Ellensburg, there was a competition to paint barns in the area. And I did quite a large one, probably 2 feet by 3 feet or so, of a collage of barns, several barns on the same painting. And it sold for quite a bit of money at that show.
Fantastic.
But, you know, it's hard to sell your art unless you get yourself out there. But in March, at the Magna Senior Center, I'm going to have a display of my art. I've signed up to have some paintings in their building for a month. So that'll be fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You have to be looking for the opportunities where to put your art, correct?
I've been in a couple of shows with Richard Horrocks and that art group. I should be able to say the name of that, but I can't right this minute. But we've had shows in the parks over there. I'm not real fond of being a show in the park.
Why?
Well, because people that come there are usually not looking for fine art and want to pay several $100s for a big painting, and I don't like all the work of setting up. I was in the Bountiful show. They had one in there 1 year and then one in Draper. I'm just not real fond of selling that way. I'd much rather do it online. Or by word of mouth.
Have you tried selling online before?
No, I haven't, but I'm going to do that.
I know. We are all going to say, Karen, what about that store? I know you're already taking the pictures, right, and everything.
Yes, I've got all my pictures of all the miniatures taken, and I've got the big pictures too. But I'm going to also have the ornaments, and maybe some of my wall hangings. I've got a lot of wall hangings at home that are just sitting in my hope chest. I'm not hoping for anything.
You can come and that's fun. Brandy Charles is saying, never say never regarding jumping off planes.
I say never, and I mean it.
Yeah, me neither. Never. Noemi Smith saying, greetings, everyone. Catherine, luckily I'm just half your age. I want to be that talented and multi-talented sometimes. Who said you're not?
Well, you know what? You just have to take an interest that you have something in and jump in.
Yes.
And it's never too late. You know, I started really seriously painting probably when Karen was 16. And ever since I painted vigorously or whatever, ferociously or whatever, till 1 o'clock in the morning for a long time.
Really?
I don't do that anymore, but people say, how long does it take you to paint something? I say, all my life. Because it's a lifetime of experience of looking at things and observing and learning. I paint very fast. And it's not because I try to hurry, it's because I know where I'm going and I know how to mix colors and I know what I want and I can just put it down quickly. That's just how it is.
Now, before the painting, you were drawing, right?
I've done, yep.
Did you have a formal education as well for drawing?
Nope,
no,
never have. But I've studied a lot with different artists and so on, yeah.
Tell me about the importance of color. I know you're very keen on that. Even on pieces here, you say, this is not matching.
Well, you know, a lot of people say greens are very hard to paint with because there's so many colors of green, but people don't know how to mix those greens. I can mix so many greens that make your head spin by mixing colors, and that's one of my specialties. I do trees really well, and I can get the reds in there and the reds into the greens and so on. And Richard Horrocks has been great for me in the last 2 years because he calls attention to the warms and cools and how to mix those greens, and I've learned a lot from him too.
So when it comes to somebody that, you know, is thinking about starting painting, let's put it this way. What is the one thing they have to pay the most attention to?
Well, you have to be able to draw, I would say. So it's good. Oh, I know one. Well, I'll answer that question first. And, you know, you can get fabulous instruction on the internet, and you can get fabulous instruction from books in the library.
True.
I read books all the time about oil painting, about acrylic, about watercolor, about pastels. The magazines, the art magazines that come out, I read those all the time. You're never too old to keep learning.
Yeah, no,
and,
for sure.
and right now, that brings me to this. Karen was going to teach me how to sculpt. I said, teach me how to sculpt. I love how you guys do, and I go down and watch April and
when they get together.
Yeah, and I usually take some paints and paint. I thought, I want to know how to sculpt. So one day, a couple of weeks ago, I went down there, and Karen was instructing me how to do a baby's head. And it was fun, and I was doing pretty well. But when I got home, I thought, you know what, if I make a head, I have to make hands and arms and legs. That doesn't interest me very much, the other part of the building of the doll, so I don't want to do that. So I thought, what can I do to enlarge myself now with my skills? And I thought, many artists don't know how to paint hands very well. Hands are a bugaboo. So what I do...
What did they say it again?
Bugaboo.
Bugaboo.
A bugaboo. So what I have been doing this week is setting my left hand up on the table and sitting and sketching it and putting it at different angles and so on. Wow. And I have some books about anatomy too, but I'm going to really get good at drawing hands. I can do pretty good already, but I can get better. And I've done... You haven't seen the portraits yet that I've done.
I don't think we got those portraits.
Yeah, you did.
I did?
Well, there's one of Karen in a tree. It's not exactly...
Let's see if we find those.
Okay, it's not exactly a portrait, but yeah. I've done some pictures. I like to paint children doing things, like tying their shoe, bending down, tying their shoe. Or I have one of Karen sitting in a big tree. I've done one, I know there's a pastel in there, if you did all the ones she sent, and of her in pastel on a sideways. She's sitting on a horse, but you can't see the horse.
Oh, really?
So anyway, yeah, and so I'd like to get better and better at painting people.
Do you think that's what keeps you in motion with all these different types of art? The fact that you do like to challenge yourself?
Oh, yes.
Yes?
Absolutely. And another thing I've challenged myself at, we haven't even mentioned, I'm a musician of sorts.
Oh.
I play the piano, I played the flute in high school and so on. I dabbled with the organ. My husband was an organist in church, and so I mostly did the leading, the singing. But where I live now, they needed an organist, and I hadn't played the organ in 40 years. Wow. And they said, we need an organist, and I said, okay. So I practice at home on my keyboard that has an organ on it, and I play the organ in church every other week. So,
that's so cool.
That's kind of a new challenge for me, and one that my husband would be amazed about. He's passed on. He would be amazed that I'm playing the organ. But
so you are an artist, Karen's an artist, your husband was an artist, and any other artists in the family?
All of my children are very talented in some way or another. My older daughter passed away 3 years ago, but she did toll painting, and she was a marvelous seamstress.
She did the traditional German toll painting?
Yeah.
Or the folk? Okay.
Nice. And she was really good at that, and very good at clothing and making her. Clothes. She had 7 children also, and she painted. She did clothing, and you know, Karen's such a talented. She can create a costume on a doll that just blows my mind. Yes. I need a pattern, but she's very talented that way. But all my children have artistic. One of my sons carves spoons and things out of wood, and
really?
chains out of one piece of wood, you know, a chain that they've chiseled
I'm
out.
going to a woodcarvers group today.
Oh, wow.
Yes, there is one here in town. You should stop by sometime.
Wow.
It's a nice group of people, and each person carves whatever they want.
Yeah.
I usually just chat.
I just dare not take on any more things, but I have a son in Oregon that makes canes out of sticks. You know,
so the walking canes?
A walking cane.
Yes, yes.
He's done one for me that has a beaver chew at the very top of it.
Oh my gosh.
And he's put different hobbies of mine down, you know.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's very nice.
And I've seen, well, let me read some of the comments here, then I'll ask. Marcy's saying, you inspire me. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Aw, thank
Beverly,
you.
what a fabulous interview. Guest 472. What is fast? One day, 1 week, 1 month? You said you like to paint very fast.
Well, I painted this painting that's 12 inches by 24 inches, and I painted it in one sitting, 2 hours.
In 2 hours?
And then the foreground, I needed to work on just a little bit, so the hour before I came today, I finished it.
That's really fast, just so you know, really fast.
I can usually do 2 to the time anybody else can do 1.
Karen says she didn't want to do it, and she needs a reference hand. Well, we happen to have Karen's reference hand
Yes,
right
we do.
here.
Yes, we do.
I didn't send the one of me. So she sent us 8 pictures, so that's why we don't have it.
Shame on her.
Shame on you.
Yeah,
she's going to send you back to the ER when she gets home.
You would have liked to have seen those. That was the pastel one. Shame on you, Karen.
Brandy Charles, what an amazing family. Elaine Tucker, and so talented. So what are you going to do with that baby head now?
Probably take the eyes out and give them back to Karen so she doesn't waste them and crush it up.
Oh, yeah.
Not going to finish it, that's for sure.
So it's interesting, you know why? For me, the 2-dimensional is tough.
Yes, and Karen thinks it's easier. But
the 2 or the 3-dimensional?
I mean 3-dimensional.
Yes, for me it is a lot easier.
Really?
I always have the hardest time trying to
This
paint.
is much easier for me.
From everything I tried, I have a small one that is the head of a bear that is on my office, in my office, that I really like. But I don't have. I remember my father. He used to paint all night long, just like you. 1 in the morning, he was there painting, and for him, it was so
well,
easy.
it has a lot to do with edges, edges on painting. I don't have any of my big ones here to really talk about to show you.
Do you want us to put? We can put the collage.
Well, no, I think it would have been better with the portrait type ones that Karen didn't send. But you know,
see, Karen, you didn't send it.
You know, you have to know how to make some like
Tell me
fruit.
About the edges then.
Well, a fruit like a head, apple head. You don't want to make a hard outline because that makes it flat. But you have to make it look like it goes around, and you do that by shading and losing color into like white into white, or losing some of the edges that make it look soft, going around the side of a face and so on. Yeah. So
now, you started when Karen was about 15. When she was 16 is when you really devoted. When was the first time you saw the picture, painting?
I don't know. Pretty soon after that, I'm sure. People, you know, you post it or people see it and say, "Oh, I want that." Yeah.
Marcy's saying, you have an amazing sewing machine. What other fiber arts do you do?
I knit and I crochet.
Oh, really?
Yep. Karen and I both like to do that. We make little, knit little monkeys and cats and things about this tall. Yeah.
I make crochet dolls as well.
Yeah, I've crocheted a doll before. I like to make dolls out of fabric too. I've made some really interesting dolls that sit and have foldable arms and so on.
Really?
Yeah, I've done quite. And I've also done some porcelain dolls that I bought the mold and cleaned it. And,
with the kiln and everything? Really?
I had a kiln. One of my paintings, they're not here. But
see, Karen, not here, the picture, not here.
I don't think that one came anyway, but I painted on some tiles and had them, and I had a kiln at the time, and I fired them, and they went into the wall of a winery in Yakima.
Wow.
They were made of 8-inch tiles, and there were a series of them that went 16 by 20 and went into the wall of the winery. So that was fun.
That's very cool. Terry's saying, I love your interviews. Getting to meet the artists gives a whole new perspective to their creations. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for watching. So,
and I have taught. I taught watercolor in Ellensburg.
Oh, you have?
A little bit, yeah. And sometime I might do that again.
You're busier than I am.
Oh, no.
And, you know,
no.
I like to fool myself that I'm very busy.
I know you're very busy. What a busy lady you are. I admire how you get people on here.
I want to have this energy later. No, for real.
I want to have this energy later when I get home.
Of course you do. Now, you're going online now, and with the online shop. Do you have a Facebook profile, something that people can check your stuff? You
can look up my Facebook, Rosalind Soules.
Do you mind spelling Soules?
Pardon me, S-O-U-L-E-S, like the sole of your foot.
Okay.
And if you friend me, I'll friend you back. And I think I'm going to try to have my Etsy store called Rosie Posey Art. But
Rosie Posey Art.
Yeah, because my internet, my Gmail is Rosie Posey Robinson. So, you know, we'll see if that goes.
That's a great name.
Yeah. See, my maiden name was Robinson, so Rosie Posey Robinson is my
your
email address.
Do you use anything else other than Facebook online, or just Facebook?
I haven't yet, but you know.
You're all ready to get busy.
I'm ready to get busy. Yep.
Yeah. So of course, guys, friend her on Facebook. So when she has the store set up,
I can tell you where it is
and where it is and what to get there, right?
Yep.
So everything that you're making here is already thinking about that store.
Oh yes, right. I have a bunch of more miniatures and small paintings, I should say. Quite a few 5x7s. And then, of course, my large ones, I have several of those. And then I have quite a bit of these.
That's fantastic. Now, you gave me a very cool gift the other day.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, and I forgot to bring a picture of it because it's in a special place. You had an egg. Was it an ostrich egg?
No, it was goose egg, I'm sure.
Well, it's pretty big.
I raised geese when I lived in Washington. I had a little farm in Washington. I had alpacas. Oh, that's something else I did. I learned to spin. I had alpacas, and I learned to spin their fiber. So that was very fun. I had a big spinning wheel, but I sold it. But I learned how to spin. I wasn't proficient at it, but I knew what to do, and I got the experience. But I can't do everything.
There's a very cool group here.
I talked to them the other night when we had your party.
I'm there every time. You should come. I don't spin.
I know, but
I think it's a little boring. But I love to be with them.
It was fun, and my son also did one of those spinners, like one of the girls did. Yeah.
Oh, look
spindles.
At that.
So yeah, I've had a lot of animals, but I raised geese, and I blew out their eggs, and I painted on them with acrylic paint. That's what I gave you one of those. I even had those in a store in Washington in what's that beautiful town north of Ellensburg that has?
I don't know. I've never been there, but
it's a Bavarian village.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I had them in a store there.
Wow.
That was really fun.
It's gorgeous.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
I've
got those too. And last year I took a class in Tyrolean egg painting with wax, where you do the wax.
That makes the geometric design?
Yeah, and wax. And I was going to do that, but I decided I can paint on them, and it's not quite as technical.
Yes.
I can paint scenes on them, and I don't have to stay straight on the lines.
Yeah, yeah, true. Jenny Gallardo is saying, loving it. Karen Beck said, we are going to get her set up with the Etsy store. Now you have a promise recorded and live. Regina, love that name. Cute and catchy. The Rosie Posey Arts, right?
Yep.
That's really good.
Yep.
You should really go.
I like that.
So give us some advice of people thinking about venturing themselves in
the
arts,
paint,
in painting, any art.
Decide what medium you like to try. Many people think watercolor is difficult. It was never difficult for me, but that doesn't mean it's not difficult. You have to save your whites with with watercolor. You have to think, you know. Oil painting too, you finish up with your lights. Acrylics too, but with acrylics, if you're good at it and you know how to mix so many people that work in acrylics have a hard time because they use the colors straight out of the tube and they're too raw colored. You have to know how to tone down your green to make it look like a green that you'll see outside or the fading mountain. You can't put a purple mountain in the background when there's a lot of atmosphere between you and that mountain. You have to know how to gray down your colors, and that takes a lot of color theory, but acrylic is really what I like to do because I can make corrections and it dries fast. If you take it somewhere, you take an oil painting class and you have this oil paint that's wet and you have to get it home without getting it all over you. In fact, I thought that you could probably see some of my acrylic on me.
Comes,
but I did get it off, I guess. But I like acrylic a lot. I think it's a fun medium to start in. But oil painting is
for sure.
Yes, right. And you have to be careful with any of brushes, whether they're watercolor or acrylic or oil. You have to take really good care of your supplies. This is the other thing. Never start out with cheap supplies because your paints that you buy that are cheap, they just have more filler and then it takes more paint to get what you need. Expensive paints, you use less paint, so in the long run,
they're cheaper.
Yeah. And you can take from 10 different teachers and you will learn something from each teacher, but each teacher will give you a different method.
Yes.
And this was really upsetting to me when I first started because my first oil painting teacher, she taught me how to paint, and I went to a workshop and everything was different. And I thought, which is right? Well, neither one was right or wrong. You have to learn from each one and put it to use in what works for you. And that's true with a lot of things.
That's very wise, because I think we are always looking, and we see this with the courses as well.
Yes.
People are looking, what's the right way? What's the one way I have to do it?
There's no right way.
And each artist is really, they figure the process in a different way. And you really have to think, okay, this talks to me, so I'm going to adopt this.
Yeah.
We see this with sculptors, for example. We have our library of sculptors.
Yeah, April and Karen may
and Noemi
totally be
and
different.
Melissa, and you cannot say one is better than the other, but they all approach in different angles, in different ways.
Yeah,
and you get mesmerized by Sherry and April and them together. I don't know. They never invite me for that party they have.
Yes, they do. You just are too busy to come. I know the real truth on that.
Well, she called me on that day off. But it's amazing, right? You see Karen and April, for example, is sculpting.
And Sherry's very good.
She's awesome.
And Noemi.
Total different
all three,
styles.
4 people there that I know that are very good sculptors.
Yes, and we have Melissa Terlisi, we have Aliyah Clay with the miniatures, and you look at all of them, and you're always amazing how they are talented.
Yeah,
I want to be there someday.
Yeah,
but at the same time, when they are teaching, they each follow a different pathway that fits their personality.
That's right.
So it's really not about being right or wrong.
And you know what? When I studied with Hal Reed, who passed, I just found out he passed away in 2003. I loved that man. He was such a good instructor. But he used to say, if you want to do something easy, go study brain surgery. He always told us this. And the reason he told us that was because with brain surgery, you can go to the book and it'll say this, 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 this. This is what you do. This, 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 this. But when you do art, you've got this way to do it, this way to do it, all these ways to do it. So if you want something easy, study something.
Go do brain surgery.
Yeah.
Because art is
he used to always tell us that. I always got a kick out of it.
That's good. That's good. Okay, any final words to our viewers?
Just create whatever you can, and read every book that you want that talks about the things that you love, and don't get discouraged because it doesn't happen overnight. Just be glad for any talent God has given you, and go at it.
And use,
go for
use
it.
that talent,
go
right?
for it. I'm going to do it till I'm in the grave.
Yes, you and I together, because yes,
Yep.
I believe that we need to give that our internal voice an outlet. Right?
That's right.
Whatever is the outlet.
And I'll never be bored. Will you ever be a bored person?
Only if I'm not making something.
That's what I mean. I have to be
make me sit down and just
I have to be doing something all the time.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm reading a book right now. It's a novel written about Harriet Beecher Stowe, but it's not an autobiography.
Okay.
Not a biography. But I love it so much because I'm a person that can stand clutter. I can work with clutter better than I can work. Every once in a while I clean everything up, and then I get busy. And that book talks about everything that I am. After she married, she didn't make meals for her husband. He'd come home and find her writing or something. Yes. That's me. I love that book because it really describes my personality.
Say the name again of the book?
Well, I don't know. It's a story about Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Okay.
It's not an autobiography. It's not a biography, but anyway, I don't know the name of the book. But it's such a good book. It's her story.
That's fantastic.
It's a novel.
I'm not into cooking either. Because, for me, it's not that I don't like to cook, but I always think I could be making this, I could be reading a book.
Yeah.
I could be improving
I do dishes about every 3 days. Because there's only me at home. And nobody comes to visit me at my house hardly ever.
Really?
So, no.
Hey, we gotta fix that.
Well, then I'd have to clean up.
Right? That's not funny either. Noemi Smith saying she also loves my cooking. I know she went to Karen's home once and made a very special dish.
Oh, I love Naomi's. Yes. Noemi's cooking.
Yes, it's good.
I love to watch Noemi's videos too.
Yeah.
She's a great gal.
This week was so funny. So she made this amazing silicone werewolf.
Oh, right? I saw that baby.
So she was rooting. Only Noemi would have the patience to do that. So she
I
was
know, the whole back of it.
Somebody took a picture of her ruining the doll and posted like if she was abusing an animal.
I know. And I read that.
I bet she was mad.
It must have been a joke. I can't imagine anybody really thinking it was real.
Well, if it's a joke, it's a very bad one because it hurts the person, right? But it was funny because you would be thinking, who on earth would think that was a real animal? And it was a werewolf. So there was no real in any part of the process.
That was really funny. Yeah, that was funny.
Okay. She's saying, thank you, Rosalind Soules. Elaine saying, another great interview. Thank you, ladies. So enjoy Regina Moore. I enjoyed this very much, too.
I did, too.
Cool.
I feel very blessed that I have association with you and your other artists and Karen and her friends.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Well, I know we're blessed to know you because you're an inspiration to so many people.
Well, I hope I am to some of the older people that think they're getting too old.
Well, yeah. See,
you're never too old.
You're never too old to get started, right?
No.
Like Colonel Sanders from KFC. He started KFC, he was close to 70.
Wow.
And look the success he achieved after that. But also to the young people, because many times they think, it takes too much to make one thing, right? And you say, no, you got to be prolific. You have to give a voice to whatever's inside you and find different ways to say that. And that's exactly what you do, right?
I do.
You love the paintings and the landscaping, the butterflies goes on cards,
and I love
the
to
quilting.
Sew. I like to sew and create.
Yes, and every day something different, every day something that talks to you, right?
Yep.
Okay. Guys, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was really fun. And guys, thank you very much for being here and participating. Like Beverly saying, an inspiration to us younger people. See? And join me again next Tuesday with another interview. Rewatch this one. If you know somebody, that needs to get inspired, and maybe they think they're too young or too old or whatever it is, say, you know, you gotta meet Rosalind here and see a little bit of what she makes and how she approaches life, because of course she's extremely talented, but her attitude towards life and towards every day, you know, challenging herself, creating every day, is an example to all of us. So if you know somebody that needs to listen to Rosalind, she's right here, right? And if you want to get to know more about her daughter, Karen Baker, I think we have 2 or 3 interviews here with her. You can go and watch every past episode, Noemi, Smith, Beverly, everybody that is here. Go check them out because they are all amazing people. And I'll see you back here next Tuesday. Thank you very much.